night, city shadows wrap my heart in a cage. Lost baby like the smoke in the air of the dark stage. Each echo whispers secrets buried beneath the glow. Still chasing dreams in alleys, but they feel so low. Starlit nights, I'm losing my way. Emotions collide in this cruel play. Drowning in silence, can't seem to break another promise I made for my own sake. Rolling through darkness, my past on replay. Every corner where we used to sway. Faded pictures remind me of laughter we shared. But this silence suffocates, it feels unprepared. Starlit nights, I'm losing my way. Think you to lie. Emotions collide. Then this raw lies hide, drown down with some mess. Can't seem to break. Time moves slowly, trapped in its haze. I whisper your name, but it fades away. Memories linger, can't escape this fate. Life's a winding road and I'm losing my place.
Welcome everyone, which means peace and blessings be upon you for the non-Muslim viewers out there. I'm going to talk about scholars and preachers again. I was listening to a podcast of a very educated, very well-known scholar. You know, he's got all the bells and whistles with his titles and his organisation and whatnot. And he relates back to many of the topics that I speak about. And he, in his podcast, I don't give any names, right, of any scholars or anyone that I speak about, so I'll speak on a general audience, but this is something that needs to be heard because I have lived this my whole life. In scholars, some scholars, right, some, and there are very few that I believe are real, authentic, that are true, that talk about real problems. They're not there to play the political game, they're not there to stroke people's ego, they're there with genuine intentions. But I feel like there are a lot of delusional scholars, right, and I'm saying scholars, yeah, because when did it ever become a rule or obligation not to criticize a scholar or a religious figure, right? When did this ever become a rule? Because we live in a society where, unfortunately, the way I feel, right, is these scholars have a mass gathering and they've turned it into a cult, right? They've turned it into this gathering of sheep, where they just say whatever they want, and little did I realize that they don't even get to the bottom of the problem, right? The guy will go out, and this is a recent podcast that I've listened to, and he'll talk about the actions of what non-Muslims did in screaming and shouting and the inappropriate actions that they did. And I kid you not, he just goes there for like 45 minutes and he's just saying, be proud of who you are and, you know, take a stance and know your heritage and you belong in this country and, you know, you have God beside you, and he puts in religion. And they do a donation right at the start of the video, collecting over $1 million. And then the guy just rants on and on and on for for 45 minutes. Let me ask you this question, right? Because I'm Muslim, I follow Islam religion. Why are we so strong in numbers, yet why do we have such a shit reputation? Can someone answer that question for me? Because I feel like a lot of scholars and these people in these positions have gone so off topic into actually not telling the truth, like in the sense where they're meant to be out there and saying the raw truth into Muslims, saying fix up, pray your prayers, read the Quran, get up for night prayers, lose weight, be disciplined, change, right? But none of this is spoken. It's just all this useless information that's been blasted into politics, right? And these scholars, some of them, they don't realize how political they're getting with their speech, right? You're giving a 45-minute podcast in the name of Islam, but you've made it pure politics, right? Why don't you tell your crowd to fix up their actions? I am a Muslim, right? I'm 29 years old, and I've been exiled from religious gatherings. I've been told not to attend. I've been hated by my own kind, by my own nation, right? And I've been welcomed by people that aren't Muslim. I live in Australia, Melbourne. By non-Muslims, by people that have no affiliation with religion itself, and they have shown more understanding and more respect to me, to my looks, to my opinions, than any other scholar or any other Muslim that I've met. Brother, wake up to yourself, right? We are over 1 billion in numbers, yet the Muslim countries are all war-torn. The reputation of Islam is down in the dumps. Names have been changed from Muhammad to Mawi. And if you want me to be very clear and honest, the clubs and the places of sin aren't full of non-Muslims. They're full of wogs and Muslims everywhere, right? And this isn't me to judge anyone, yeah? Because when you have such a delusional and lost leaders that don't want to talk about pure raw truth because they are afraid to lose their crowd, they're afraid to lose their reputation, and that's what it comes to. They don't realize that. They actually know this deep down. They've just become delusional, right? They don't want to speak harsh to their followers, right? They want to stroke their ego. Brother, if there's a reason why the non-Muslims out there are swearing at you, are doing protests, are swearing against Islam, there's a bigger problem out there. And I'll tell you what it is. It's because when you hear the name Muhammad, or when you hear the name, any name that's Islamic or a Muslim name or a guy with a beard, we have been given that reputation where you get ripped off in business, you get lied to. In Australia here, Muslims don't pay their tax. Centrelink is full of Muslims ripping off the government. Crime rates are all generally wogs and people that come from other countries. So when you have this core problem, right, and everyone knows this deep down, yeah? When you have this core problem, instead of going up there and saying fix up, right, you love to give the Quran and the prophets as example, but you exclude all the prayers that they've done. You exclude all the Quran, the pages of the Quran that they read, the amount of worship they did day and night. Yeah, you exclude all of this, and you love to give them as an example because you're too scared that there's gonna be a backlash. And I've witnessed this myself. We live in a society where everyone's soft. You tell someone to lose weight and it's called fat shaming. No, it's not called fat shaming. If I want someone to lose weight, right, it's because I want them to have the feeling of getting rid of that overweight feeling, right? I've been through it. I used to be overweight, and I say it in the most respectful way when I can, but this is the truth. This is the truth. And a lot of the scholars have big bellies. They've been in the same job for 20 years. All they do is eat, sleep, drink, and live in comfort. They go from conference room to conference room just talking, giving education. You tell them to go pick up a bin. You go tell them to do a real job in the real world, and they'll be useless as, right? And then they talk about comfort, they talk about religion. Brother, wake up to yourself. Yeah, wake up to yourself. And my message to everyone, yeah, be yourself. Be yourself. There is no rule or obligation where every mufti, where every scholar, where every religious preacher, what they say is right and it's gold. Religion isn't in categories. Each religion is to each individual. The Quran is sent down to each individual, right? You don't need a degree. You don't need a scholar. You don't need a scholar. You don't need PhD. You don't need to be in a title or a position to know your faith, right? But we live in such a society where people are so lazy to learn about their religion, so they just gather in masses, listen to a 45-minute speech on whatever the scholar says, realizing very little that it's all politics, and they're that delusional to even realize the actual problem. And then they come out and then they go, oh, I've been to a 45-minute religious gathering and I've learned all my religion. You haven't learned anything. You've just learned about that guy blasting and talking about politics. And I've seen so many scholars where they just talk about politics and they compare and they talk about my movement and your movement, and it's about them and it's about us. Brother, wake up to yourself. Honestly, wake up to yourself, right? Stop becoming delusional and wake up to yourself. Wake up to reality. If you're in that position, you have to give it its right. I have seen imams, right? Imams, the person in charge of the mosque on a Friday prayer. As soon as it's done, there's the supplication, right? There's a supplication which takes extra 5 minutes. The guy doesn't even do that. He's off. He jets off to talk and chat with his mates and leaves the whole mosque unattended on a Friday prayer. And what? I'm not supposed to criticize this guy? I can criticize whoever I want, and everyone should be able to criticize who they want. Yeah, and speak the truth. If I started this page trying to stroke people's ego, I would have double the amount of views, double the amount of followers, but I don't do that. I speak the harsh truth, and it makes people uncomfortable. Yeah, and the ones that get uncomfortable from this, why are you getting uncomfortable for? Because I'm not doing a 30-second video of me dancing like a headless chicken, because I'm not giving you a dopamine hit, because I'm telling you to wake up, because I'm telling the Islamic community and the Muslims to stop ripping people off and stop giving Islam a shit name. What do you expect, bro? What do you expect? Honestly, if I was a non-Muslim Australian and I saw the actions of my own community, of course I'd be against Islam. And I've heard statements where they would even go as far as to roast people, saying, oh, you know, the non-Muslims wake up and they go for a jog at 5 a.m. to take their dog for a walk, and they start laughing and they go, oh, you know, they eat cornflakes and, you know, they eat very, very light food to keep their weight, and you know, they laugh at them. It's like they have discipline and you don't. It's simple as that. The non-Muslims, some of them have way more discipline than you, right? These little actions of taking your dog for a walk at 5 a.m. If it's so easy, you do it then. You get up at 5 a.m. and go for a jog. Yeah, and they'll start even roasting and belittling the people that do these actions. Why? Because they're non-Muslim. These are the stuff that I've seen with my own eyes, yeah? And he continues and he continues, but I'm here to criticize, I'm here to speak up, and I don't care what backlash it gets, I don't care how many people it makes mad and angry, I'll continue speaking the truth the way I want to, because people honestly need to wake up. There are very, very few scholars that speak the truth, the bottom lying problem, into blasting the Muslim community, saying wake up, fix up your actions, yeah? Stop ripping people off, stop evading tax, stop swearing, stop being arrogant. Yeah, because you'll have 500 Muslims going to a conference to listen to that podcast of why the non-Muslims did a protest and they swore, right? And then they'll go out and what do they do? They go rip people off, they go do dodgy jobs with their businesses, they go swear, they don't obey to the community rules. And of course a non-Muslim out there would look and be like, yeah, this guy's got a beard, his name is Moe. When did Muhammad become Moe? That's the Prophet's name, bro. And we have a community, Moe. We're so comfortable we're able to say that when clearly there are a lot of rulings and hadith saying be careful on how you speak about the Prophet and his name. But we have a community that says, oh, Moe, don't worry, this and that, and what? We expect this community to grow. Why is there still evil then? Why is there still all of this injustice going on then? If Muslims actually did their part in doing what they need to do, if they were disciplined, if they were actually proper, good will outweigh evil any day of the week, right? Allah will give you that, right? But clearly the reality is God is giving it to the non-Muslims because they are more disciplined, right? They're more disciplined. They actually make the most of it, and we Muslims are suffering because of that. And you can collect all your donations and open up all your mosques and collect millions of dollars when they're empty, right? And when people's true character hasn't changed. When our scholars go around with a big belly, overweight, and they get puffed out, and they eat, and then they go roast a person that has cornflakes. And when we have leaders like this, you wish that change is going to be for the better. Because our scholars and our leaders are delusional, some of them, right? Some of them, not all. This is just the pure truth, and I'm sick of it. Honestly, I'm sick and tired of it. Where you want to open up a podcast, where you want to listen to a podcast, and you just sit there and you just realize how much politics there is within each movement. They've become so delusional, right? Into this my movement, you versus your movement. We're nations. Is this not true? Nations, Muslim nations fight with each other. We're not even united within each other. What are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about? You want to talk shit about the non-Muslims and the protests that they did, and what they got a pig's head and they put at the masjid door and they gathered in a crowd of 100 and they swore, and then the sheikh, the mufti, comes in all high and mighty, and he just starts blasting and he starts going off. He goes, oh, we are proud of this and we're proud of... It's like, no, you delusional little man. You haven't spoken one truth in your 45-minute podcast. You've spoken about the outer layer, you've sugarcoated it, you've put cherries on top, you've stroked everyone's ego in that hall, and you haven't told one person. He makes a statement like this. He goes, I can understand life can be very hard, but we must try. And I've been told this many times as well. When I was looking for religion, how many times from people that I saw religious, right? Which, I thought was the 5 daily prayers and staying away from sin. That was my ideal religion, right? Because I was the guy that didn't pray, that was in sin and whatnot. I was that guy, yeah? And I've been told by how many people, you gotta take it easy with religion. You gotta take it very easy. Don't go too hard out. What the fuck are you on about, bro? Are you being serious? So when it comes to business, when it comes to all your matters, including myself, as humans, we love to go hard out. We want the best cars, we want the best houses. When it comes to our own business, we give 110%. But when it comes to religion, I've been told how many times, take it easy with religion, it's like, you delusional little man. You've just portrayed your own insecurities, because clearly that's how far you've pushed in religion, right? And you've framed religion in that sense, and you've just given it back to me saying, yeah, just take it easy. And I hear this from so many people. Read one page of the Quran. Start off really slow. What are you waiting for, bro? And it's not even about me judging, or it's not even about the prayers and how much worship you do, right? It's if you've been given that position, since you're in that title, right? Since you're in that title as a mufti, as a scholar, it is your job to tell the truth. But so many gatherings, both in person and online, just hours and hours wasted into political talk. Like, think of it, you make a gathering for the name of religion. I'd call it a cult more than anything, right? Because it's pick and choose. And then the moment, it took me 5 posts to make this page, even when I was praying and I was off the drugs, even when I left all of the sin and I said, okay, I'm going to reflect on myself, even when I came out of prison, even when I went back into the gathering and I acted with the utmost respect, and I put on their mask that they put on, and it took 5 posts for them to be like, don't come here. Brother, you fucking delusional little man. How is it my problem that your grown ass of a man gets cut at the stuff that I say? Because you have been tamed into just being a little softy. That's what it is. Everyone around you, and that's what it is. You get into a gathering, everyone's just taming their own ego. No, it's okay. You're a good Muslim, and the other guy will say, yeah, you're a good Muslim, and everyone will pig out, and no one will say, oh, we have to lose weight, we have to man up, we have to do this, we have to have more discipline. And that's why I didn't attend those gatherings for years and years. And that's why people felt uncomfortable, and people still feel uncomfortable. And the ones that feel uncomfortable, I'll tell you, I know very clearly the ones that feel it's the hypocrites, right? Because the one that isn't a hypocrite, right, will not have that hate inside of him. And there are many, many examples in the Quran of this. In the Prophet's time, when shit hit the fan, right, when the tough times came, right, in war, in struggle, in hunger, in poverty, that's when the hypocrite's face is revealed. And you see this today in different scenarios. The moment you speak harsh, boom, all the hypocrites' masks drop. They get agitated. They get furious. Oh, how can you make such statements? And you see so many of this. Brother, the Muslim community has a shit reputation for many. I've witnessed this myself. Is this not true? Do Muslims not know this? I go to a job, I go to a non-believer, an Australian that's grown up here. And the guy puts me on tax, the guy pays my superannuation, the guy pays me my rates of what the government set. He goes, you deserve $35, $40 an hour. And there are companies like this that abide the law, right? And then honestly, go to a Muslim, go work for a Muslim. He will fuck you over as much as he can. For every dollar. For every penny, he'll make you work like a fucking dog, right? He'll milk the shit out of you and ruin your life and your youth, and he'll treat you like absolute shit. He'll lie to you, he'll deceive you, he'll manipulate you, and then this same person will go listen to that 45-minute lecture. And then in that lecture, that leader there will be like, yeah, you know, we're Muslim, we're proud of what we do, and we have this many mosques and this many organizations. Brother, what buildings and mosques are you talking about? Religion has become so easy for people, and I'll put it to you this way, it's become so easy for people. It's like, yeah, you got $50, give $50. You got $100, yeah, throw the $100, that's it. You got 45 minutes of your time to come down on a Monday night, come down. You know, there's a feast, there's food, talk shit, gossip, see your mates. We'll talk a bit about religion. We'll keep it very light, stroke your ego, make you feel like a very strong Muslim. And then we'll send you off the other 3 hours, you know, it'll just be food and laughter, and it'll be in an air-conditioned room in the best facilities, where you sit your ass down and you're in the utmost comfort. You've got your coffee, you've got your tea, you know, your belly's full, your ego is satisfied, nothing is being said out of you know, the ordinary, where it will piss anyone off. It will be very lightly treaded, you know, and we'll mainly focus on topics that make us feel strong. And we'll say stuff like, oh, we've got this many mosques and we fed this many people. Is that what religion has become? For the Western country, that's what religion has become. That's what Islam has become. For you to give $100, $200, or even a few $1,000. What's a few $1,000? Yeah, just give your money, throw your money. Yeah, you're done. You're guaranteed paradise. Come to the program 2-3 times a week. That's it. The rest of the 24 hours, the rest of the week, eat, sleep, shit, do whatever you want. Go for a holiday. And honestly, some people are so delusional where they don't even see it. They don't see it. They'll tell you, take it very easy for religion. Okay, bro. Take it very, very easy and light. Okay. Charity registered organizations. In this very podcast that I listened to, they raised over $1 million. The amount of money that's being raised, right? Because you've got such a mass following. So how come, and I know how WOGs do business. WOGs love their money. Muslims love their money, right? They'll calculate every single dollar. When they do business, right, they'll write it down. Any business within their personal, when it's their own personal pocket, to the cent, they'll write it down. They'll be like, where did that $1 go? How can I fuck over that worker? Instead of paying $30 an hour, I'll pay him $20 an hour, and I'll just fuck him over. Ruin his life, his mental health, everything, and write it down and try saving every single dollar and break every single law out there. Law of humanity, mind you, right? Don't pay the taxes, don't pay the wages, treat people like shit. Oh, if it doesn't come, $20 an hour, it's alright, next, get someone else. There's someone always more desperate. And people that call themselves preachers, people in position of power, do this, right? In some organizations, have not the people of power, the people that are supposed to be preachers, the people that are given the title. I'm in Australia, right? Are they not in wealth? Do they not drive nice cars? Do they not have houses? People that came from overseas, right? I'm talking about Australia. People that came from overseas 10, 15, 20 years ago. Some don't even have proper English because they've leached onto the organization, right? They've got their wages and then they've saved up enough money. And then after 15 years, they go bye-bye. The guy goes, opens up a business, starts buying his first house, second house. And these people have money. They have more money than you and me. They have more money than the followers, right? These leaders of the organization have more money than the followers. And they still have the face and the audacity, right? I don't know how, but like that's what hypocrisy is about anyway. That's what being a two-face is about. It's about the idea of being shameless into what you do. And they still have the face to go out and claim that title when they're on a $150,000 wage. Why? Because that organization pays them that $150,000 wage. Why don't you show the bank statements then? Okay, like, does it not say in the Quran, does it not say in our Prophet's time very clearly that any transaction with money, you're meant to write it down? There's meant to be a witness, there's meant to be a third person, a witness, there's meant to be proof. Any sort of transaction, any. Why are not charity like registered organizations showing this word to word? You're collecting millions of dollars. Who is to say that out of all of those preachers, money isn't being put into their pockets? Tell me that. Can someone guarantee me that? Because we live in such a fucked up world, right? And I've seen enough fucked up shit in my life to have zero trust in anyone, zero trust. When money gets involved, especially, what you're telling me to give all my money, close my eyes and be like, yeah, it's a charity registered organisation, it's going for good. Why is there no proof? Why aren't there statements saying this dollar went to here with proof? We've got technology, we've got bank statements. Why is there no proof to this? Why? You're a charity registered organisation, even if it's not obliged by you, like if it's not a rule compulsory for you to share it by law. Under Islamic law, you're meant to show it. Any transaction, but some scholars love to ignore so much of the religion, right? So much of the religion. And they just want to do the surface, like the sugar coating and the nice talking and the political talk. Because they know, and I'll tell you why they don't get into deep topics, because they know they don't practice it themselves. They know that if they utter these words, that they're going to be held accountable, that they're going to reveal their true face. That's why they don't talk about this stuff. That's the only reason why someone would hide these stuff. Because if you got nothing to hide, you would speak about it comfortably. But they know these. They know all of the details of this. They know how much prayer and how much worship you're meant to do as a Muslim. They know that Islam believes that if each individual did their worship enough and everyone looked on themselves, right? That's what Islam is mainly about. For everyone to pretty much reflect on their own actions and for everyone to reflect into their own character and try to become the best version of themselves. And then God says pretty much, Allah says that I will let good win. I won't let evil win. The Prophet says this to the Sahabas, to the companions, in a very clear conversation. He says it very clearly, saying to the companions, saying there will be a time where the Muslims will be strong in numbers. And the companions get surprised. They go strong in numbers, yeah, and they get happy. They go, oh, then, Muslims should lead the world. We should, be number one, and Islamic law should prevail, and, goodness should prevail, and justice should prevail, and charity should prevail, and the world would be a peaceful place, because that's what Islam preaches. It's not about bringing forceful laws into other countries or whatnot. But the Prophet clearly says no. The Muslims will be large in numbers but weak in power. And the companions get surprised at this, saying, how does that work? Because we don't practice what we preach. That's why we don't. We're in the West and that's it. Each to their own. You're no different. If you're a person that's buying a house and buying a car and you're living a 9 to 5 for the last 10-15 years and you're not doing any extra obligations into worship, and on top of this you justify your actions because you don't sin and you don't smoke and you don't have a girlfriend and you're married and you live a proper life, but that gives you the right to rest on your ass for 12 weeks in a year and go on your holidays and eat, sleep and shit and live like I'm sorry to say, an animal. And what? You pray your 5 daily prayers and you attend your programs and that's it. Oh, wow. No wonder why there's so much injustice in this world, right? No wonder why people hate Islam, right? No wonder there's a genocide and our brothers and our sisters in Palestine are getting, sorry to say, putting these terms, slaughtered, right? Because people love to go and protest and scream on the top of their lungs and act like a big man and scream and shout and give Islam an absolute shit reputation, but no one wants to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning and fight their carnal desire and their ego to open up their hands and pray to God. Muslims sleep in, they don't pray. There's no 5 daily prayers. What am I talking about with extra podcasts and books and Quran and whatnot? What am I talking about? I came out of prison and The first time I got fucked over by a Muslim again, ripped off. This happened to me how many times by my own kind, by my own nation, by my own religion. I have been hurt more than my own nation and my own religion than any other non-Muslim out there. Is this not the truth? Have I not been exiled? Have I not been an outcast all my life because I was the guy that didn't pray? I was the guy that spoke the truth. What now, bro? What now? Clearly nothing's changed, because take me as an example. Even though I've lost everything in life in a way, right? Clear example, right? No money, out of prison, lost my freedom, unsettling. People still found something to hate on. This just shows how delusional and how fake people are, right? It's not about you smoking, it's not about you sinning. It's each to their own. But the truth needs to be spoken, and I don't say this with hate. If I had a gastric sleeve surgery, I used to be 130 kilos. And I used to go up to people saying, bro, like, get the surgery, it's $4,000-5,000 in Turkey, it's very cheap. Or even in Australia, you can pull out your superannuation. I pulled out my superannuation, bro. My retirement money, I filled in the forms, I did it. Because I couldn't lose the weight, I couldn't do it. But I found a way. I'm like, fuck this. I can't do it. Clearly I can't diet. Clearly I'm a fat cunt. Clearly I can't, I've gained the weight and I had diabetes and whatnot. I couldn't do it. That's what I say to myself. And every person that I saw, I used to say it. Like, I had a bulky build, right? I had a bulky build because of my height and because of my posture, whatnot. But I used to admit to everyone that I saw, every time I did anything, I'm like, yeah, I go, I'm overweight. Yeah, I smoke weed, I don't pray. I used to say this to people, I didn't hide it. That's the difference. Just be real with yourself, bro. Stop running away from the actual problem, because everyone knows what the real problem is, but no one wants to speak it out. Everyone's after their own reputation. What is with people wanting to be seen on social media? Do you honest to God, I used to put my head down for 10 years working, and my idea was, let me work from my 20s to 30s so I can do the hard yards now, like physical work, and then when I come to my 30s and whatnot, I'll enjoy life, I'll go out for a picnic, and then I'll enjoy social media and whatnot. It didn't work out. It is what it is, such is life. But do people actually enjoy this, honestly? There are days I enjoy this, but why are people after attention? I kid you not, I'm not lying. For the last 10 years, I love being alone. I used to just go to work because I'm like, there's nothing to do. And this is my first time on social media in 3 months posting this much and putting myself out there. And not once have I put myself out there to get a glimpse of attention into anyone saying, look at me. Or I didn't do anything out of my own character, or try to swerve my way, or become someone I'm not to get attention. And people are so desperate for, hey, look at me. If there's one thing that I've learned in life, if you want to be seen, it's not through social media, it's not through people. Take it from me, there's God up there. God sees you as an individual, all your struggles, your inner pain, your true intentions, how much you try, how much you want, what your true goals are. Everything A to Z, God sees it, Allah sees it. When no one else will, not your closest friends, not your family, not the scholars, not the muftis, not anyone but God. Leave it to God, because God sees everything, because at the end of the day, it's Him that has control over everything. And this is a true reality. We have the world's buildings, we have the world's donations, which I'm not against. But if this is what religion has become in a Western country, throw your money every year, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is. Go to your programs once, twice a week, and you're set. Pray your 5 times daily prayers and do whatever you want. Go out on your coffee, go have your picnic, because you enjoyed it, you deserve it. No, why are you kidding yourself, bro? You're feeding your own ego and your own carnal desires as much as that non-Muslim as well. You've just put a cover on it, and you've convinced yourself that this is enough. This is enough for me to save humanity. And when the next person says this, and when the next 1 million and the next 5 million and the 1 billion Muslims say, we can be strong in our numbers all we want. We are not going to have that true peace, that true justice that we are trying to achieve. It's not about trying to bring Islam into Western countries and trying to force ideologies upon everyone, right? Because if anyone knows Islam, even if Islam was to prevail and be the world's superpower in the Ottoman times, in our Prophet's time, Islam always lets every country and every person still practice their religion and keep their laws and their lifestyle the way they want to preach it. It never forces anything on anyone, right? Islam means peace, but it means submission to Allah. But from the most basic examples, the areas that are worst known are full of what? Wogs and Muslims. The names that are most known are full of wogs and Muslims. The people that rip off the government and do the crime and do all of this bad stuff are wogs and Muslims. Who are you kidding, bro? And for any scholar to go up there and stroke the Muslims' ego saying we are this, and you want to give history and all the prophets' names and the scholars and attribute all of that to the Muslim across here that doesn't even pray 5 times a day, that doesn't even get his ass up, and that can't even wake up at 5 a.m, that has zero discipline, and you want to butter him up. What's that guy gonna do? That guy's just gonna go out there and be like, yeah, I'm a proud Muslim. Everyone, bro, there is no problem in Muslims accepting their identity and name. We're very good at that. We know very well, oh, I'm Muslim, bro, I believe in God, I fear Allah, and I don't fear anyone. And then the same guy will go and fuck over his own brother and do the most dumbest shit ever that a non-Muslim, your regular Joe, law-abiding person will not do. That's why people get scared when you go out onto protest and scream like a lunatic. People look at me like, what the fuck? Are these guys radicals? Are these guys extremists? Because no one wants to get into these inner topics that in religion it says very clearly that the unseen exists. Awareness, good versus evil. If you fix up within yourself, that multiplies, and that's how growth starts, that's how change starts. But nah, you tell someone to lose weight with the utmost intention and utmost good intentions, because I want people feel the confidence that I feel. And I heard how many people saying, no, I don't want to give up eating. Bro, just because I make it look easy, or anyone that has discipline, that wakes up at 5 a.m, that does exercise, that does gym, that prays, good on you, bro. It's very few, and those are the quiet ones anyway that you won't see. And the ones that have discipline anyway, they'll always try preaching this stuff anyway. The ones that truly know the good feeling of losing weight, being disciplined, praying and whatnot, they'll truly, if they are true to their cause and they love it, the authentic ones will preach this anyway, any day of the week. They will very easily. The ones that don't preach, the ones that stay quiet are the ones that don't practice, are the ones that are trying to cover up stuff because they're trying to cover up their own ego, they're trying to cover up their own faults. Because they know very well that they don't practice it. They know very well that they can't say something that they don't apply within their own life. But nah, we live in a society where a simple AI edit, a simple post is enough for a religious gathering. I'm sorry, big boy. Did I hurt your feelings, bro? Did you get upset at this? No. Did you want a hug, bro? Did you want to go cry, or like, what do you want to do about it? For you to be like, I don't want this guy in my gathering. And then they won't even reply to your messages, bro. The brother in Islam, the one that's been with you for years, for 10, 15 years, the one that's part of an organization, religious one. Why? Because I spoke the truth and you hurt your little ego. People need to wake up, bro, honestly. It is what it is, and I know I contradict myself in many ways. I know that, I say one thing and I completely go the other way. I understand this, but in no way do I say this with hate, right? In no way do I say this with jealousy or whatnot. It's for, if anything, I want people to be better. That's it. And being better and growth doesn't start with stroking the ego. It doesn't start with kind words. It doesn't start with approval and whatnot. Each to their own. I still show the utmost respect to everyone. I do. I've always been like that. I'm honest. I show respect to whoever it is, to anyone in front of me. And there are people out there where even when I wasn't praying, and even, when I wasn't on my religion, you would see this, you don't have to say anything, you will witness this anyway. There are very few people where they just see you and they won't judge because they're just kind at heart. The guy doesn't care if you pray, if you don't pray. Like and I've met people like this as well. I've had interactions with people like this. And then there's the ones that they just grease you off, they just hate you for no reason. Religion is each to their own, simple as that. If you see injustice, speak up. If you feel like there needs to be something said, even if it's a scholar or it doesn't matter who it is, speak up. Find religion yourself, find that yourself. Go pick up the Quran, go research into it. Put some effort in. Stop trying to look for the answers in scholars and preachers. They're not going to give you the happiness. The Quran speaks directly to the individual. God speaks directly to you. God guides whom He wills, right? Stop and get over this delusional idea of following muftis and scholars and preachers like sheep. They are there to get the knowledge. Yes, I have the utmost respect for some of them. I do. For the some that truly give the proper information, the real life problems. There are many of them that speak about real problems, mental health problems, porn addictions, drugs, family violence, the Prophet's life, things that really appeal to the person. And there's a lot of them, delusional ones, that just speak about politics. But if you want to find religion, use the scholars, use anyone, a human, to gain your information, to gain it. But at the end of the day, it's between you and God. It's between yourself and your carnal desire. The ego inside, the one that doesn't want to pray, the one that doesn't want to bow down the head, the one that doesn't want to spend any time reading a book or listening to a podcast or anything like that. Fight that evil, bro. Fight that evil. That's where growth starts, with everything, with discipline, with exercise, with losing weight. With anything that you do in life, it's painful, it's hard, but that's what it's there for. Stop going on to autopilot on life, cruise control. You press the button, yep, and 10 years pass, and what did you do? I attended gatherings 2 days a week, and I prayed my five daily prayers. Okay, bro. If you want to go up in front of God as a Muslim, while the companions and the prophets did 50, 100 times more than what we could ever do, and you want to go up in front of God and be like, yeah, that's enough for me. Roll the dice, bro. Roll the dice. You're only gambling. Roll the dice. Because if anyone had clear knowledge of what judgment day looked like, which is 50,000 years old, 50,000 days long, and the amount of detail it gets into, where a little kid is going to be scared for his life. The prophets are going to be worried for themselves. And we have the Muslim community that just wants to eat, sleep in the halal ways, go on their holidays, and they've just become so delusional and blind. They go, oh, you know, you look at them and they're just lost, they're just delusional, and they've made themselves believe that, you know, they are the preachers, because, you know, they've attributed themselves to an organization. Wake up to yourself, bro. Fucking wake up to yourself. There's nothing more to it than that, honestly. If anyone thinks that we live in a fucking world where everything is good, brother, you live in the same land. Jump on a plane 10 hours away to another country, there's a person starving, dying of hunger. There's a person being killed right now. There's bombs being dropped right now. There are people that are starving to death right now. Yeah? And you want to act, you want to grow your belly and you want to act all happy, and you want to, you know, think everything's all good, and the moment the truth speaks, you want to get cut, and you want to whinge, and you want to bitch. We live in the same planet, bro. We live in the same planet. This one country, jump on a plane, go to the other side of the world, and there's still Muslim brothers out there that are starving. And it doesn't just end with you giving $50, $100, $1,000 or $10,000. It doesn't end there, bro. But everyone's just made this religion into something so easy. Give your money and you're set. It's like you buy a pass for paradise, bro. You're guaranteed. Pay your money and it's guaranteed to paradise. You're only kidding yourself, bro. You're only kidding yourself for you to be even that fucking delusional to think that your money is gonna save you, right? And I don't know who's going to go to hell or heaven, but there is just so much evil and corruption in this world, right? So much, and we're so delusional and we have no awareness, right? I'm trying to open up people's eyes into just waking them up, right? And the way to do this is to fucking shake them and speak the hard truth, to get to someone and be like, wake up, bro, wake up, have some awareness, have some realization into what planet you're living on and what's going on around your life, bro. Get out of that autopilot mode, right? Wake up. You're in a deep sleep where devils made you believe that you're a good Muslim and that you've done everything you can, when you've spent your days and months and years sleeping and going on holidays. Why? Because it's halal and haram. As one scholar talks, so that's kindergarten talk. Halal or haram. Oh, is it halal? Yep. Is going for a coffee halal? Yep. Is me going for a holiday halal? Yep. Alright, you do whatever you want. If it's halal, go spend the whole life. Go eat, sleep, drink because it's halal, right? And then go up in front of God and be like, I spent my last 10-15 years because it's halal. That's how little we've diminished Islam into halal or haram. It's that thin line. In halal, yep, we're doing it. That's it. No more. Don't tell anyone to pray. Don't tell anyone to lose weight. Don't tell anyone to eat less. Don't tell anyone for ask for bank of proof statements for bank statements for proof of purchase for the charity registered organizations. Don't ask any of that, bro. Don't. Because then you'll get the frown. Everyone will look down on you and be like, what the fuck? This guy just spoke the truth. We don't do that here. Nah, that's a big no-no. That's a big no-no. We're all here to comfort our ego. We're here to eat. In the 4 hours, we're gonna eat like kings. We're gonna laugh and we're gonna gossip and we're gonna talk shit. And we're gonna do 20 minutes of religious input. We're gonna rush our prayers, and the rest is just gonna be all political talk about our movement and your movement. And then we're gonna go home like kings. We saved the world. You did nothing, brother. You did nothing, right? You did nothing. Stop kidding yourself into thinking that you're saving the world and you're trying to do something for the greater good of Islam. Because if you were, there would be a lot more people speaking the truth like this on social media and in person, but I barely see any. And that is the only reason why I pick up this stupid camera to talk, not because I want attention. I never wanted attention. At times I even drag myself into making this talk, and I don't find why people want to put themselves out there for a 30-second clip and dance like a moron to get 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 views. What did you accomplish from life, bro? I've always said this, I don't care how many views I get. I'm here to speak the truth. I do it because I care about the truth. I care about the true problems. I want people to grow. I'm not here to tame your ego and make you happy. If anything, I'm here to piss you off. So you can turn around and be like, fucking hell, I'm angry, I'm pissed off, I gotta do something about this. Then do something about it, bro. That's what I'm here for. Or I'd be like 99% of social media, dopamine hits and brain rot. You do realize all of those content makers just do it to make money off you. They're using you. But the real authentic ones, the very few that speak the truth, are known as the bad ones. Oh, he's judgmental. Oh, he said this. Oh, he's ranting. Oh, you know, he contradicted everything he said. Oh, but he said this and it's like a million excuses, but one reason to be like, you know what? It's a true, honest talk. I should take something from it. There will be a million reasons. And I've told you this before, for a person that's lost everything, people still find something to exile me. So what else can I say? Humans are humans, bro. Like, there's always going to be backlash, but I just hope there are people out there, and I believe there are people out there that are going to take the good from this, to actually pull up, to actually say, you know what, he's the bloke that's fucking talking the truth, the raw truth, with my mistakes, with my faults, with my swearing, with my contradictions. Because I always state it in every podcast, take the good, leave the bad, form your own opinion, do your own research, find your own religion and your own path into Islam within yourself, by yourself as an individual. Make your own opinion, do what you will with the information that I'll give you to yourself. I'll leave it to you. I just speak and I don't tell you saying follow me and do this. I'll leave it to you. That's my main preach. But I have to speak the truth, and I have to be honest and raw. But the backlash comes, the hate comes, the criticism comes, and that's what it is. When you speak the truth, you know that when you're on the right path, when people start disagreeing with you and you're alone and, you know, you get exiled and whatnot, that's when you truly know. You're like, yeah, I'm on something, because I'm not like 99%, bro. I'm not a sheep to follow the crowd. I'm here to wake up people and change lives for the better, right? That'll be all for my talk on my podcast. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.